So if you know me, or you've heard me speak, you know I'm not an avid reader. It's a fault. I'm trying to do better. I've got so many books. I've got a big library of books, including the Encyclopedia of Real Estate Appraisal. I don't know if you even knew that existed. It's a great big old book. I have lots of books. I have a lot of books that appraisers that I know have written books, and I'm trying to do better. I have a thirst for knowledge. A book that I read about a year ago, I really liked, David Goggins, Can't Hurt Me, man. That's a great book if you get a chance to read that. But I've got a book in my hand, and I just want to read you a couple of things off of this because I find it pretty interesting. The appraisal is the non-sexy. The appraisal is the non-sexy but most important part of the home buying process. If you get a mortgage loan in America, you will likely have to get an appraisal. Appraisers hold the power that affects home purchases, getting cash out of your property, litigation cases, and much more. Something else in this book, and I want to speak to trainees or folks that are even entertaining the thought of getting in the profession of real property appraising. I want you to listen to what I'm about to say. If you're a trainee, I had a trainee on recently that had reached out to multiple folks trying to get a supervisor. Spoke to a lady the other day. I think she said she's reached out to 80 appraisers trying to find somebody that will take her on. And she stayed after class, and I gave her a couple of tips. You know, I said, as a business owner, I got to know what you can do for me. Now, I'm a little different. I support the trainees, and you know, I want to help get folks in. I've said the other day, certified residential appraisers. I've kind of got a mission to help some become certified general. But listen to what I'm about to read you out of this book. Quote, "What do you want me to do? Okay, boom, I'll do it." Did you hear what I just said? What do you want me to do? Okay, boom, I'll do it. That should be your philosophy. That should be what you say to someone that you want to help you get into this business and get those hours. What can you do for that appraiser? What do you want me to do? Okay, boom, I'll do it. When we come back, I'm going to have the gentleman that made those statements, Mr. Marcus Hill, on the podcast. Won't you join us? Hi, this is Bryan Reynolds. You're listening to the Appraisal Update Podcast, brought to you as always by the great folks over at Appraiser eLearning. You need some education? Come on over, appraiserelearning.com. We've got lots of stuff and more on the way. Please join us at ACTS coming up in April in San Antonio. And then, of course, we've got Val Expo back in Las Vegas in August. And finally, the Summit. We're there at all three conferences. We'd love to see you there. I'd also like to thank my sponsor, LIA Administrators and Insurance Services. Man, they've been doing this for 45 years. They know their stuff. If you need some help, check out LIA Administrators and Insurance Services at liability.com. All right. Without further delay, I'm going to bring in this guy, a bright young fella, and I had the pleasure of meeting him at a conference. Got one of his books there, and I've been reading it. Not through it yet, but I'm on my way. Welcome, Mr. Marcus Hill. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great, I'm so honored to be here with you today.
Well, I'm honored that you accepted an invitation to join, so thanks for being here. It was funny. I met you in Las Vegas at a conference and got a copy of your book, and you were kind enough to give me a little autograph there. So, I've got his autograph here. And we've chatted a few times, and then this last weekend we were down in Dallas watching the fight, and went to the rodeo, and saw a Dallas Cowboy football game, Monday Night Football, and found out that's kind of your stomping grounds, or at least one of them, and had the ability to kind of meet up with you and have a cocktail and a little appetizer. That was a good time. It was great to catch up.
Yes, it was amazing. So very glad our schedules had combined there, and it was just such an amazing opportunity to just kind of, uh, just kind of talk with you.
So, Marcus, I could keep you here all day. So I'm probably going to have you back on. I've started reading the book, and I'll just tell you, I said at the onset of this, I'm not an avid reader, and I wasn't lying. That's true. But I've had a hard time putting your book down, and there's a few things I want to talk about in the book, and then kind of find out what's going on as well. Your grandfather, and when you wrote this, it says 92-year-old. Now I understand he's got a birthday coming up, but this is what he said. He doesn't play around with anything. He attends to business. He's always busy, always striving, and that's Alvin Lockhart. So I want you to tell everyone a little bit about how this all started. I know that you weren't planning on being an appraiser, right? You had a cousin that went to law school, became an attorney, and that was kind of your path. That's where you were going. So let my listeners know who Marcus Hill is. And how did you go from someone that was wanting to be an attorney, follow your cousin's footsteps, into finding yourself in a world of real estate appraising?
Yes, I think we all, don't set out to become appraisers, but specifically for my journey, kind of grew up in a really tough time in Little Rock, Arkansas. There was a lot of things going up, a lot of gangs, drugs, like some of the worst of the worst things were going on there. But I woke up one day and I was like, you know what? I want to set a goal for myself, even though my environment is just not so positive. And the first thing I set off to do was to go to college. And so, yes, I had a cousin that went to the same college, University of Arkansas, and he went on to go to law school and be an attorney. And I kind of set my eyes on his path. It was very positive. And
Mhm.
so, as I'm continuing, to go to college, I ended up graduating. And once I moved back to Little Rock to kind of go to the same law school he went to, I had an opportunity to work for an appraiser 1 month after graduating college. And I'll tell you, once I got into that, arena, it changed my entire life and journey. Uh, and so I'm just so very grateful that I was introduced to that so young.
So talk about that for a second, all right? Because you talk about paying your dues, and I quoted what you said out of your book, right? You want me to do what? And you said, okay, boom, I'll do it. When was the first time? I mean, what did he ask you to do when you said, what do you want me to do? Tell that story.
Sure. So, I'm in this arena now, working for an appraiser. I actually knew this guy growing up in church. So, and it was so crazy to, you know, come after college actually working for him. But uh, first few weeks, as I'm entering in as a trainee, he needed some work files organized. And I'll just tell you, where the file cabinet was in the front of the office, uh, this was midsummer in Arkansas, and it's pretty hot. And so this front office, didn't have AC. And so for about weeks on a time, I was organizing his entire files, and it took me a good amount of time. But that was the beauty of just kind of doing something that's just not uncommon, but just accepting it because you're so willing to learn. And I didn't even see it as a bad thing. I was just like, hey, I'll do it, whatever is needed done.
Right, right. You say in your book, having the willingness to do the dirty work pave the way for big things, right? And so you were a young guy, just out of college, or maybe your senior year. I don't remember exactly, but and this is back before we had electronic work files, right? These were the file folders, and so you had to do the dirty work of working in an area with no AC and rearranging all these work files, huh?
Yeah, and I'll just say that I knew he needed that done. And I think it was also like, this industry comes with a lot of moving parts. And so I think it was a way to just kind of check my temperature to see if I'm willing to go down everything that's needed to become an appraiser. And I looked at it as not just, a challenge or anything like that, but just like, wow, this is my first thing that I get to do.
Yeah. Well, I had a lady in class the other day, and she stayed after class, and we were talking about it because she's really kind of hit a brick wall and trying to find, someone to help mentor her. And I said, maybe you should just change up your strategy here. Instead of saying, hey, I need out, why don't you just say, hey, can I help you administratively? Can I do other things? And maybe that'll graduate to an opportunity. So talk about that for a little bit, because he didn't just immediately turn you loose to go look at property after you got the files organized, right? I mean, how long did it take, and what other types of things did you do before he ever even let you go out in the field?
Yeah, so there were different things as maybe he was out in the field and a picture got blurry. I was just ready to go assist, to go take that new picture, or just to, just anything, pick up different things, or uh, just anything that I could assist with. But yeah, I definitely took a lot of multiple photos, sometimes like 20, 30 minutes away, just because he needed that. And so I think just being me being open, right, allowed him to kind of help me understand more, or now know, oh wow, he's going to be trainable because he's actually, just kind of doing whatever's needed, and just being a good steward of that. Just those small things.
Yeah, yeah. And so at what point did you realize that you're going to take, kind of a right turn? You had your sights on law school. I mean, that's what you were planning on doing. You worked the summer in an appraisal office, and did how at what point did you realize, hey, I think I'm going to do this instead of going down that path of being an attorney?
Yeah, so I had the great opportunity to actually be in the field before I took any course. And so, as I'm learning with my mentor, things around, measuring houses and having a good eye for things. And I could just kind of see myself, wow, I definitely want to go to law school, but this right here, this is a totally different animal. And I realized that I was one of the youngest people in Little Rock, Arkansas, even training to become an appraiser. And as I'm going on different inspections with my mentor, I'm thinking to myself, wow, I'm really enjoying this. I'm enjoying learning, what's a comp and what's not a comp, learning how to describe a property and learning the quality and condition of properties, multiple different designs. And, just as learning the information, it just got me to where, wow, this is an open field. I immediately knew that people need appraisers. And so that aspect of being needed, really enjoying how to learn to measure a property or describe a property or pick sales in neighborhoods. I mean, I just kind of came really uh, fond of that. And it just kind of took over me. And I was like, you know what? Law school may be great, but I think this right here is for me. And so that's what inspired me to just continue down the path. And just because it's multiple different things you learn, and also the aspect of just having to be right, and people being dependable on your value. That aspect of it right there, like the public trust aspect was, I mean, I felt so important, and so that inspired me to just continue down this path.
Yeah, yeah. I want to talk about so many things with you, but in the very beginning of your book, you say that you've worked as a mortgage originator, credit repair expert, and an owner landlord of multiple properties. So, how has your background as an appraiser helped in those areas, or maybe your background in those areas helped you as an appraiser?
Sure. So I'll just say once I, got to a point where I got my own license and started my own company, the real estate bug took over me. And I was like, well, why stop here? And so I wanted to learn all facets of real estate. And so, yes, I went on to work in the mortgage industry as a loan originator. And then, the beauty about the appraisal field, which is so beautiful, is that once you understand how to value properties, then you now know how to value things for your own self, as far as like understanding investment opportunities. And so, uh, along with, doing mortgages, I obtained multiple properties before I was 30 years old. Uh, and I will contest that that's due to my appraisal skill set, right? And
Mm.
so that allowed me to just kind of be open in the industry. And I knew then that I could do multiple things in the industry at the same time.
Yeah, and I've heard that a lot. It's not uncommon for me to meet appraisers that own real estate, whether it be rental properties or short-term rentals, or I know some that own commercial properties as well. And certainly when you're opining value for others, it kind of helps in your personal life to say, hey, here's a good opportunity. Maybe I want to seize this opportunity, or be able to get this property and maybe rehab it and flip it. And there's all kinds of opportunities there. I want to talk about for a minute in your book on page 13 early on, you said, as I was making my observations, I realized that integrity is the key when going into the appraisal business. You go on to say, integrity in appraising is everything. Why? Why did you make that statement?
That's one of the first things you know and to get into this field. There's so many as an appraiser, you're in a powerful position, right? And you're there to the public is entrusted into you to know what you're doing, being competent, and but just having the uttermost integrity with your reports. And in this situation, we're charged to give an impartial opinion of value, right? And so you have to have integrity. You have to do what's right. You have to follow your guidelines no matter what's going on in this particular situation. In this business, everybody, needs a value, right? And so, but I think just that integrity piece is just so important, because if you don't have integrity, what are you really doing? Like, what are you doing? And so I feel like I wanted to express that to people, to know, yes, this is a great field, but you have to have the most highest integrity with your reports, with your findings on things, and just be truthful.
I've said for a long time, I don't think we can teach ethics. I know there's an ethics rule in USPAP, and I know that is part of our education. I think we can inform folks and educate folks on what is ethical behavior and what's not ethical behavior. I think we can distinguish that. But I believe either you have in your heart to do the right thing, or you don't. And there's probably different degrees of that. Probably everyone has, that ethical line they won't cross. Hopefully you have that ethical line you won't cross, right? And so I admire that, Marcus, because I've preached that a lot. That once you compromise your integrity, I mean, it's kind of hard to get it back. And I'm no saint. I always say, ask my ex-wife. I'm not a saint. I've made a lot of mistakes, but when it comes to my appraisal practice, I always try and do the right thing. I don't cross that ethical line. I might walk up to it, but I don't cross it. At least not intentionally, right? I admire that. So I'm glad you have that in your book. I want to talk about Fannie Mae. I want to talk about Forbes. I want to talk about what inspired you to write this book. I want to talk about what you're doing now. But before we do any of that, I've got to take a little break here, Marcus. So I'd like to thank my sponsor for their continued support of the Appraisal Update podcast. Since 1978, LI Administrators and Insurance Services has been offering E&O insurance to valuation professionals just like you and I. LI applies superior customer service, exceptional liability education, and unparalleled claim defense to serve over 10,000 appraisers all across our lands. Call LIA or check them out at liability.com to see how they can protect you as well as your business. Thank you, LIA, for all you do. They continue to come to our conferences and support us in the Appraisal Update podcast as well as the Appraisal Report webinar, and we certainly appreciate their continued support. All right. So fast forward a little bit. One thing in your book, you talk about being like an investigator. We as an appraisers are almost investigators. What's that mean?
I like that term actually because that's truly what you're doing. All these properties, some look the same, right? Could have the same square footage, but they're all different, right? And so when you're going to a property, you're really trying to use your eye and see, what the characteristics of a property are, and just kind of understanding that, you got to catch everything here. This is a new assignment. You have to literally investigate this property, seeing what's here, checking the condition, checking the quality, and also checking any repairs. And so it's really good to see, to just know that, your exterior, interior inspection is really going to be beneficial, to the client, and to write down what you see, exactly what you
Yeah.
see,
Yeah.
and don't have any, uh, regards to not doing it. Hey, you see something, write it down.
Yeah, and that's what I'll tell a property owner. If I'm looking at something, I say, hey, part of my job is to be the eyes and ears of my client. I have to report what I see. I say we take photographs; they're going to see it anyway. But I have an obligation. That's part of our job as an appraiser, is to report what we see when we're out at the property, right? So talk to me a little bit about your experience with Fannie Mae. And we can't go too deep in this dive because I've only got a certain amount of time, but what did you do at Fannie Mae? How long were you there and how did that happen?
You know, this was one of the, I would say, amazing opportunities of my entire appraiser career. You know, Back when I started my company, things were great, doing a lot of appraisals, doing different things in mortgages, and investing. But I always told myself, hey, if I get an opportunity outside of Arkansas, you know what, I think I may take it. But it can't just be any opportunity, right? And so I think God was just great to just give me an opportunity with the largest mortgage giant in America. And so I had an opportunity to enter in their valuation department. And so it's just great to just put yourself in, to challenge yourself. I was living a comfortable life, working at home, but I was like, you know what? I love to challenge me. And this opportunity came, and I knew it was going to be tough. I knew I was going to be around a lot of experienced appraisers, way more experienced than me, but I knew that I would increase my education in this field because I had the joy and beautiful opportunity to value properties in every state in America. You know, Fannie owns a lot of things around the country, and in this valuation department, I was able to just participate in things that they own around the country, and but just kind of see real estate on a broader point of view than just Arkansas. And so I had the joy to learning just the landscape of the country, from the Northeast to the West to, the South, even outside of Arkansas, but just learning the different design types, the different uh, uh, amounts of repairs properties can have, just kind of learning how to take my appraisal skill set and do this on a national level. I tell you, Brian, it was an amazing opportunity, and I was there for over 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Uh,
Wow. That's
and
great.
one of the youngest in that field. And most appraisers don't get to see um, a broader view of the country around properties. We as appraisers, we're in our markets that we know, and we're probably there for 30, 40 years.
Yeah, that's
But
true. That's true. That's
yeah,
very true. I've had an opportunity not too terribly long ago to do some review work, not all across the country, but over many many states. And it is interesting to take a peek into not only the various types of properties across the country, the actions of appraisers across the country as well. Hey, let's jump over here for just a second. Forbes Home, here we go. Talk a little bit about this. What is this? What's your role there? How did all this happen?
well, I just, first off, I have been the type of person that wants to just continue to share my story, inspire other people. And, I got an opportunity with Forbes Home, and now I'm a advisory board member where I provide expert opinion to articles that go out throughout the country on their platform. And also able to, host events as a board member, and it was just a crazy, incredible opportunity, just to even have them kind of reach out and offer me this. They have a very, very huge platform and reach, and I'm just very thankful that they seen things that I've been doing in the industry, and it's just a testament to, hey, you're on the right track if you're out trying to inspire people and share, and just have a diverse career. And
Yeah,
so that I feel like is kind of why I got that opportunity. And I'm just so very grateful and thankful.
yeah, that's amazing. Marcus, I want to talk about your book a little bit. All right. It's like I said, I haven't read the whole thing yet. I'm working on it. It's called Assessing by Value. When I first met, I said, "Hey, you stole my idea." You didn't steal anything, but I was thinking about doing something similar, but not the same, something similar. But this is awesome. It's an easy read. I'm going to talk about one little part that I found myself just I wanted to skip ahead, but I didn't, and I'll talk about that before we get off here. But tell me a little bit about what inspired you. What gave you the idea? What inspired you? Why'd you write a book? That's what I want to know.
So, you know, I'm I'm working for Fannie Mae at this point. And I got an opportunity to be a part of a high level meeting where they were kind of, discussing just the characteristics of the appraisal field, nationwide. And, I saw that I really didn't realize that, that the industry wasn't diverse really until I saw this 2019 study by the Appraisal Institute. And so, that inspired me to be like, hey, hey, I got into this industry at 24. I think more people would love to just see somebody go through the industry young and find their passion. And so, I just feel like God inspired me to write this book, to kind of share my experiences, to let people know that this industry is wide open and anybody can get into it. and to just really get just an honest flow opinion of somebody that became so passionate about this field is what inspired me to write this book and to just be honest about everything and just give my opinion of what it was like for me and let that, you know, uh, inspire others.
Yeah. Um, Casey Parham, which you know very well. I've known Casey for a long, long time, and I did not know that you guys knew each other. And I did when I was perusing through the book a little bit. I did find in the back some testimonials, and I saw Casey Parham. Was he in here? And Casey uses two words to describe you: determined and motivated. What's he mean by that? Determined and motivated. What's Casey talking about when he says that?
I've just always been the type of person to not look at things as hard, and let's just be real. This industry is tough to break into. It's tough to go through the courses. It's tough to, you know, be underneath a mentor. Maybe you're getting paid or not, right? But it's all tough. But I feel like well, once you become passionate about it, you're going to become determined. And you're going to just look at the obstacles in front of you, but not just obstacles. They're going to be opportunities. And so for me, I've never let anything kind of get into my way of like accomplishing it. And so I feel like that determination helps me make moves and take my anything I'm doing to the next level.
Yeah, Casey's a great guy. Casey actually does a little bit of work with us now, and he took some education from me, and he reached. In fact, he has no idea we're doing this, and he texted me this morning. Tried to call me, text me. I said, let's connect a little later. He actually has I think it's a commercial property that he's wanting me to look at with him. So there could be an opportunity there. But he really is a great guy. And he's been on a couple of podcasts with me and done some speaking. Talking about speaking, you've kind of been on a little bit of a speaking circuit, promoting your book and helping others. Talk about that. What's your experience? We're running out of time here, but talk about the being on the big stage or on your platform, sharing your story and speaking and inspiring others.
I didn't sought out to be some speaker, right? But I feel like when I first shared the very first time and I saw people asking question after question, that inspired me to, hey, this is something that you need to do. You need to share and be open about this field and help people just kind of get a whiff of what your journey was like. And so what I've been so graciously proud of to be a part of multiple events in multiple states around the country. And it's just been a joy to kind of go places and hear people, hear me talk about the appraisal field and what it did for me and what inspired me. It's truly just rewarding, because, appraisers are busy people, right? Very busy, but I feel like I saw a niche or a lane that I can, go into and be a thought leader. And I just think when you have the heart to share, things can go fast and quick. And I just will say, uh, I'm very thankful for the opportunities that I've had and to, speak in multiple states and just kind of have the same energy when you go places. Oh man, it's just such an amazing feeling.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I appreciate you being here today. I'm going overtime here because, like I said, I could keep you here all day, and this is not scripted. You don't know what I'm about to ask you, do you?
No.
And ladies and gentlemen, I never know what I'm about to ask until I ask it. I did write this down while he was speaking just then, and it says, "What do you say to someone who is wanting to become an appraiser?" What would you say to somebody that's watching or listening right now? There's a lot of negativity going on out there right now, and there always has been. But when work is slow, it certainly is ramped. You know, when we're busy, we complain. My God, I can't take a day off. I'm so busy. You know, and then when we have no work, we complain. Oh my gosh. And this has been a long dry spell. I get it. I'm with the appraisers out there. You know, I've been hurting too. But there's a lot of folks that are just saying, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. What do you know, somebody like you that's very passionate about what you do, what do you say to someone that has thought about it, but now they're a little scared? I mean, what do you say to someone that's even considering this field as a profession?
I would just say first, do your homework, learn a little bit about what the process is, learn, what the day in the life is like. And also just kind of, ask a lot of questions to people that's been in the field or, been in the industry. But I would just tell them, like, you're going to be rewarded. A lot of people say different things about this particular industry, but I just will say, I was in the business before 2008, and so just think about it. Everybody needs you. And so from commercial to land to residential to attorneys to banks to just multiple different people, they need you. And so I look at this industry as something that you're helping out. You're ensuring that you are being a good steward for the public. And it's an industry where you'll be rewarded, let's be real, financially, but also just a feeling, a sense of responsibility that you're doing something for the community. And I just will just say that there's multiple different things that while people should become appraisers, but just know that it's a beautiful industry. It's a lot of moving parts, and you don't have to just sit in front of a computer all day. You're actually going out to properties,
Mm-hmm.
and you're being knowledgeable to be able to share about this one thing that most of the public do not understand. And so I just feel like it's just a beautiful industry. And no matter what the market is, the market goes up and down. It's going to continue to go up and down every year, but just know that they need you, and we need more. We need more appraisers. And I just think it's just a beautiful, beautiful field.
Well, and the thing in addition to that is you can be anywhere, you know. So I got in the business in Chicago, and I wanted to, and I love Chicago, but I wanted to, we started having babies, and I want to be home, right? And I realized because the line of work I was in kind of catered to a large metropolitan area, and I realized I was married at the time, and I said, I think this could get us home because no matter where you live, they need real estate agents and they need property appraisers, and so this might be an opportunity. And as I get older in life and think about slowing down or retiring, which probably will never happen, it makes me know that I could move somewhere else. I could move to another state if I so desired, and be able to appraise there. So, hey, let me ask you one final thing. I said when I was reading your book, there was one part where I wanted to jump ahead, and I didn't. But it was the part where you were real nervous. You had to go in front of the Arkansas Licensing and Appraising Agency and get that interview out of the way. And then you took your test, which you were very nervous to do. And you said you were going to the P.O. box, and there's checks in there. Sometimes they're not. But you were waiting for a letter. And the day finally came where you got the letter. And you were sitting in your truck, and before you opened it, you said, I've come pretty far. I should be proud of myself for what I've accomplished thus far, whether I pass or fail, right? Marcus, it was like I was sitting in the truck with you. I'm like, open the letter, for crying out loud, right? So kudos to you, writing in a manner that gripped me and others, I'm sure, that reads the book, because I felt like I was sitting in that vehicle with you, wanting to open that letter for you. So just real quickly, as we wind this thing down, what was that moment like for you?
It was a great moment, honestly. Even to just have been to that point, of, going through all the courses, going through all the inspections with my mentor, learning this field. And, it was just a testament to, once you decide that you want something for you, no matter you pass or fail anything, when you get to a certain point and you actually accomplish something, it doesn't really matter, right? And so for me in that moment, it really just resonated from my younger time, which was very rough and tough, but just to even get there was just truly a blessing. It was just an amazing feeling. But to know I passed when I opened that letter, it was a very emotional roller coaster for me because I knew my life was going to change. I didn't know that I would be here today traveling around with a book and speaking to multiple groups, but I knew from that moment things were going to change. And I just want people to really understand, no matter your background, no matter what's happening in your life, like you can literally get into this field and make a name for yourself, a career, and help a lot of people.
Mr. Marcus Hill, thank you for being here today. Thank you for the service that you've provided as an appraiser. And thank you for giving back and trying to inspire others. Bright young fella here, Mr. Marcus Hill. If somebody wants to reach out to you and pick your brain or maybe talk to you about speaking to a group they have, what's the best way to reach out to Marcus Hill?
Sure. Right now, you can find me on LinkedIn at Marcus Hill. I'm on Instagram at Ask Marcus Hill. And I'm definitely on Facebook, Marcus Hill. And I'm very open. I love sharing my passion, my story, just to help others. Live a life of purpose is what I feel like I'm doing today.
Marcus Hill, thank you so much for being here today. I truly appreciate your time.
Oh, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for having me. I feel so very honored to be with you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to the Appraisal Update podcast. Do yourself a favor, grab up one of Marcus's books. It's called Assessing My Value. It's been a great read so far. I'm going to knock out the rest over the weekend. I tell you, I'm going to do that. Listen, if you haven't had a little mini vacation, take one. I just got back from Dallas, had a good time. Looking forward to another one as soon as I can. Got to try to do some work. Today's a busy day looking at a couple properties. We get a little bit of work in, so pretty optimistic and excited about that. I hope you are as well. I hope you're doing well. Hope you're making some money and finding some more work, maybe some new clients, new different types of work. Hang in there. We're going to get through it. Until next time, I'm your host, Bryan Reynolds from Marcus Hill. Happy appraising.
The Appraisal Update podcast is brought to you by Appraiser eLearning.